All right, hey, welcome to the Hoodoo. Okay. I assume you all are here for the camp out, so most of you I recognize anyway and stuff like that. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting us on our 20th anniversary. Thanks for supporting independent vinyl shops, which are a big important thing to me. This might have to be a bit louder. A lot of people in here might have to be a little louder. So, as you know, I have a solo album out. It's called Father, Sons, and Brothers. It's a three vinyl disc set and also a 2 CD set. So whichever one you prefer, you can buy right there. There's also the do we have copies of the Cracker retrospective as well too?
Yes.
Okay, we have got the Cracker retrospective, which is also a 3 vinyl set, and we also have the reissue of the Camper Van Beethoven, and they're all on colored vinyl, and they're all limited editions, so they'll all hold their value if you want to buy those. And there's not a ton of them left, sorry, we sold a lot in the last 2 nights. But great, so my solo album works as kind of a memoir or an autobiography and stuff like that. If you haven't heard it, you might want to stream it when you're driving home or headed back to the airport or wherever you're going. I'm going to play a few songs off of that. There's one of the songs on the record I describe writing the song Take the Skinheads Bowling as a song that changed my life because it set my life kind of onto a different trajectory and stuff like that. So, but the more I thought about it, and doing this little tour for the solo album, I was like, well, actually there's this other song that actually is the song that really put me onto a trajectory of being in the, kind of being a professional musician and being in the music business and writing songs. And the story is that one of my older sisters was student teaching. I think she was student teaching a 6th grade class. And I had this kind of proto band. It wasn't exactly a band, but there was 3 of us and we played different instruments. One of them was Chris Mola from Camper Van Beethoven. And my sister's like, hey, I'm student teaching, why don't you come in with your band and play a few songs for my students? And we were like, wow, it's a cool idea. I mean, we didn't care as 6th graders. We were just like, we get to play in front of an audience, right? So we've been kind of working on this song. We realized we had a perfect song to play for these students. So the story that this song tells, it's about the Lincoln Shrine in Redlands, California. And the Lincoln Shrine is because some sort of Gilded Age millionaire or something moved to Redlands, California from the East Coast, and he had collected all of this President Lincoln memorabilia, so he created a shrine and kind of a museum to President Lincoln in Redlands, California, because Redlands, California is so important to the Lincoln presidency, right? Has nothing to do with it, it's just completely random. At this time, Redlands wasn't kind of part of the great exurb suburbs of Los Angeles. It was like you actually got to about Ontario, and then you drove through orchards and ranch land and vineyards and stuff like that, and then eventually you got to Redlands, and Redlands is kind of a sleepy little, I don't know, sort of had been a ranching town or something like that with, it was a kind of place where you actually had along with the jocks and the stoners, you also had a cowboy clique, at the high school and stuff like that. It's kind of a boring little town, and there wasn't a lot of places to go. And especially if you were a teacher and you had to take your children on field trips, there was no place to go. And except for the Lincoln. I remember one time my little sister came home from school really upset because they'd taken her to the butcher shop as a field trip, right? So, anyway, every year if you were in school there, the only place really suitable for a field trip was the Lincoln Shrine, so kids went there every year to the point where it was like a joke. It was like a joke to us and stuff like that. So we wrote this song about going to the Lincoln Shrine, and the minute we got to the chorus, all the kids started singing along with us, right? And we were like, wow, we wrote a song that connected with people, and then they sang it to, wow, this is like an amazing feeling and stuff like that. And I feel like my entire life, I'm like the junkie chasing the first buzz or something like that, trying to get that back. So here we go. Back in first grade, second grade, third grade, now sixth grade too. All go down to the Lincoln Shrine. The Lincoln Shrine is some kind of thing for Lincoln the man. I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go to the Lincoln Shrine. I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go to the Lincoln Shrine. Later, they actually had a field trip at the Lincoln Shrine, apparently, so they all sang the song the whole time. I don't wanna go to the Lincoln Shrine. I don't wanna go to the Lincoln Shrine. I had all sisters growing up. I didn't have a big brother or a little brother or anything like that. It was a very female-dominated household too, because my dad was often gone traveling in the military. I did have, though, two older male cousins that kind of like wanted to be like a big brother, sort of protect me kind of like thing. The problem was is that they were really bad. Like really bad. Like, but yeah, you know, they were like family and they were so nice to me and so protective to me. I liked them, right? I was like really super conflicted about this, right? Anyway, this tells the story of a lot of my family lives in the Yucca Valley. I still have lots of cousins and family members there and stuff like that. So this kind of tells the story of, well, it kind of tells the story of my cousins and my family and stuff, and how they ended up in the Yucca Valley. It's called Super Bloom. I don't have to explain a super bloom to people out here. Usually I've spent 5 minutes explaining what a super bloom is. But, you know, it's sort of a little bit of a, you know, an allegory or, well, metaphor. Well, it kind of could be both. The super bloom, you know, sort of the explosion of sort of youthful energy and how that goes awry and stuff. Storm clouds came up from Mexicali, cast shadows on the Salton Sea. Here my father's family had settled, from Arkansas to the Coachella Valley, like the grapes of wrath in the 70s. My grandfather packed dates near the polo grounds, and he sometimes mowed people's lawns. Grandma was a housekeeper in Palm Springs or the Bermuda Dunes Country Club. One summer went to stay with my cousins in Indio. They were fleeing poverty in Arkansas. My uncle was a Hellfire Baptist minister. My cousin Norma Jean, that's her name, she is sweet, but her twin brother's trouble for the law. The twins stole a car and they took me to watch them burn it by the aqueduct. Then they robbed the neighbor's house. I was frightened, ran away, never told my grandfather what they'd done. Dark-haired Mary in the 8th grade, her mother was from Mexico. Her father was a soldier. She asked me to the dance, sat in the bleachers, just held hands. One slow dance at the end. It rained and snowed a lot that winter. In the spring came a super bloom. The desert was a sea of orange and purple flowers, from Cabazon on down to Mexico. Thank you. Okay. So in 1990, Camper Van Beethoven broke up in Sundsvall, Sweden. Okay, it seemed like kind of an uneventful day. I went down into the breakfast room at this, you know, like one of those European-style hotels, you know, old European-style hotels, and everybody was already in the breakfast room, sort of like they were having a meeting about me, and they were. And basically everybody in the band was like, yeah, we don't want to do this tour anymore, we don't want to play anymore, and stuff like that, and so we're going home. So I tried to talk them into it, like back into staying a band together, because, I mean, we just built so much. We built this like wonderful musical legacy, and it just seemed like a shame to throw it away. But I, in particular, remember that Victor then just looked at me, and we've talked about this. It's okay. It's all open history. Victor looked at me and says, "We really hate your guts, and we'll never be your friend again." So, which at the time, I was like, what a great chorus to a song. So during COVID, I'm working on this autobiography, and I kind of had this weird. I've been thinking like I need to do something about the breakup of Camper Van Beethoven, and had this little sort of pseudo-Celtic little chord progression here. Let me see if I can get this. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. It's a bright April morning, looking out at the Baltic Sea. Swedish drunks are heaving over the rails, and I'm headed down to duty free to buy some cigarettes. Hazelnut chocolate from Germany. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. The ship put in at Malmo, what an ugly Swedish town. As if to make the point, a seagull clapped on the van. I know you think I'm an asshole, a thankless taskmaster. You could have stayed home in Santa Cruz smoking weed. And we really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. When you arrived in Simsville, you thought the hotel not good enough. I lost my shit and clearly took things too far. Played one last show in Orebro, flew off the UK dates. You put your tail between your legs and headed back to Santa Cruz. Yeah, we really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. Yeah, we really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. Yeah, we really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. We really hate your guts and we will never be your friend again. Okay, it wouldn't be. I don't actually talk about the bands and the music stuff a lot on this album, but at some point I did realize I needed to tell maybe the 12-year history of Cracker when we were big time on Virgin Records, kind of the peak of our popularity. Also, this is where Pioneer Town gets name dropped a lot. So. Well, I came out of oblivion with 2 hit MTV songs. So Jackson quit his day job process serving Michael Milligan. I bought a house out in the country with my publishing advance. Jeff Aroff said, see, I knew you'd write a hit by accident. And I should have got down on my knees and thanked the Lord. 'Cause it don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. Ooh, don't last long. while you can. It don't last long. The second album we recorded it out in Pioneer Town. We tried to rent Frank Sinatra's house, but the realtor shut us down. The album spawned 3 more singles. None of them sounded like grunge, but we were selling out theaters. It's timing and it's love, and I should have got down on my knees and thanked the Lord, 'cause it don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. It don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. And I was getting way too cocky. There was some bad behavior, but it didn't really cost me selling 5K every week. But then I taught the audience to sing the record company president's direct line telephone number. We were dropped in just a week, and I should have got down on my knees and thanked the Lord, 'cause it don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. It don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. It don't last long. It don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. It don't last long. It don't last long. Enjoy it while you can. It don't last long. Now, some of the point of me doing this solo record was to sing the praises of people that I worked with that were important in my life and to my career that you've never heard of. So this is about, loosely about the, well, part of it's about one of the co-founders of Camper Van Beethoven, a guy named David McDaniel, or Reverend David McDaniel, I believe, the Reverend, who actually named the band. So I'm going to tell the story of the day we wrote Take the Skinheads Bowling, but also get a little bit of his story in there too. I was working in a liquor store in San Bernardino, summer of 1983. The liquor store got robbed while I was stocking up the cooler. Took a 40 and I went home and wrote a song. I wrote a song called Take the Skinheads Bowling. So won't you take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. It's a song that don't mean anything. It's a song that put me on a different trajectory. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Co-founded the band with a guy named David McDaniel. Had a calling from God and left the band. He went on missions all around the world while I toured around, meeting girls that liked the song called Take the Skinheads Bowling. Take the skinheads bowling, take them skinheads bowling. Reverend McDaniel built an orphanage. Sadly, you never heard of him, and you barely heard of me, though I wrote a song called Take the Skinheads Bowling. All right, and I'll play one more song, and then I'll be glad to figure out a place where I can sign some albums and CDs for you and stuff like that. Thanks so much for coming out and seeing this. La 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 la. 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 La 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 la. Went out the door into the morning darkness. Gravel underfoot. Heard the screen door gently close. I slid across the seat. The steering wheel was cold. Tiny icicles on the glass. In the corner of the windows, the desert air was dry. They were melted in an instant. I pulled onto the highway. I began to cry. I was leaving her behind. It was clearly for the best. I had something deep inside, boundless anger without reason. Yeah, we all got someone we left behind, 'cause we just weren't right in our hearts and our minds. Yeah, we all got someone we were lucky to find in the first place. Yeah, we all got someone we never treated right. We were selfish and drinking, staying up all night. Yeah, we all got someone we were lucky to find in the first place. And when she awakes, I hope that she's not sad. I loved her from the first time I laid my eyes upon her. Got a little house, drove a truck, played in a band, got some Mexican chickens, and we raised them on our land. Talked of having little girls, they have their mother's little curls. It was more than a dream. Yeah, one day they'd be real. I played out on the road. At first she came along, sang the harmonies, mixed the sound, sold the albums and the singles. I hung out in the bar, drinking till the closing time. I was foolish, I was selfish. I'd find her sleeping in the car. Yeah, we all got someone we left behind, 'cause we just weren't right in our hearts and our minds. Yeah, we all got someone we were lucky to find in the first place. Yeah, we all got someone we never treated right. We were selfish and drinking, staying out all night. Yeah, we all got someone we were lucky to find in the first place. went back to our house to feed and raise the animals. We slowly grew apart. I was growing meaner. I drank when I got up, 'cause the motel room was hot, or something stupid I had done. I was lonely for my girl. There was always someone else, and then there was another. I could barely stand myself. I was stoned all the time. When I finally came back home, she said something changed inside you. I smashed a glass against the wall. When I'm walking in the desert, when I come on back, sleeping peacefully. I knew that she was better off without me. The little girls were there. I saw their faces in her hair. But now it was clear I would never be their father. Put on my coat and hat, slid the deadbolt in the hasp, took one last look back at her. I stepped across the threshold.
Thank you very much. Glad to sell some CDs and albums for you. Thank you for supporting the Camp Out, independent record stores, and all of that. Thank you.
Real quick, everybody. Thank you to David for doing that just now. That was awesome. He reached out to us, and we really appreciate that. So thank you, David. Thank everybody here that came down to this and coming into the Hoodoo. David's going to sign some stuff, and to make this a little bit easier, we're just going to kind of have to start it right where people are in the front, but we're going to ask that it basically go in a circle this way. So it's kind of a mess because we're small.